Hi Cancer, welcome to February. Happy Valentine's Day. This is Teresa from tarotbyt.com, and I'm getting ready to do your Love TarotScope for February. And I want to say thank you for liking and sharing and subscribing to my channel, and thank you also for leaving comments. And for those of you who have ordered readings, thank you. I've enjoyed meeting and working with you. And so before I get into the reading, I just want to create some sacred space. We're having a new moon eclipse on February 15th, and that will be in Aquarius, and that will be in your 8th house of shared resources and intimacy. So you could have a major new beginning in a relationship where you get closer, or it could be you can have some type of money coming in. I'll get into the astrology later, but let's just see what's happening for Cancer. Oh, look at this. It's a Fool. New beginnings. What does Cancer need to know about love and relationships for the month of February? What does Cancer need to know about love and relationships for the month of February? I'm using the Rider-Waite deck. This is the first deck I've ever owned that was given to me when I was a teenager. So, what does Cancer need to know about love and relationships for the month of February? Oh, these cards are jumping out of my hand today. Okay, let's see what's going on. Six of Swords, the Page of Pentacles, the Nine of Swords, the Page of Swords, King of Swords, the Five of Cups, the Ace of Pentacles, the Six of Pentacles, the Seven of Wands, and the Eight of Swords. Okay, let's see what's happening. So you start the month out with the Six of Swords and the Page of Pentacles. The Six of Swords represents moving away from difficulty and trouble. So and it seems with the Nine of Swords and the Page of Wands back here in the past, you've been mentally stressed over something. You've been racking your brain, staying up at night, worrying. The Nine of Swords is a worry card. It's a person who's just worried. You could be worried about a health issue. You could be worried about a relationship. And your mind is just racing and imagining all kinds of scenarios. There might be, maybe there was a message, something you overheard that upset you, because the Page of Swords can be an upsetting message or an upsetting conversation. It could also, sometimes the Page of Swords can represent gossip or spying. So maybe you might have heard some gossip, or you might be having to have a difficult conversation with someone. If you're in a relationship and you're having some problems, the Page of Swords can sometimes represent, I need to have a conversation. I'm dealing with someone who's difficult. It could be a child, or it could be a young person, because it's a page. If it's not a young person or a child, then it's just the message. And with the Page of Pentacles, this can sometimes represent a student. So it could be maybe a child of yours that's in school, or it could be yourself wanting to learn new skills, wanting to deal with, you're open to learning, you're open to communicating, you're open to meeting the person halfway. So you're open to conflict resolution. You don't want to stay in this state of, tension and worry. You want to resolve things. Coming up in the future, you have the King of Swords, and that can represent two things. One, if it's a person, it could be an authority figure. Maybe you feel like someone is being extremely harsh with you. Someone appears to have no compassion. And Cancer is being very sensitive. You feel like, why are they giving me such a hard time? Why are they being so difficult? Why don't they understand how I feel? You feel like someone just doesn't get your feelings. And this could be an air sign. So that could be Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. But even if it's not the actual sun sign, the person could have the moon or rising. The personality represented by the King of Swords is a severity. This person, they just go by the facts. They see things in black and white. They can sometimes be stubborn and rigid, and they just want to hear the truth. They want, just tell me the truth. I don't want to listen to any BS. They don't have an imagination. They're not tied to their emotions when it comes to making decisions. Now, water signs, as a Cancer, you know, water signs, oh, they go by their heart. You know, your heart rules your head. But when you're dealing with an air sign, if you're dealing with an air sign, they go by logic and facts. So it could be that there's a disconnect in the communication. You know, you're trying to appeal to someone's emotions, and you need to appeal to logic. Another way that this card can represent, it can sometimes mean that you have to look clearly at a situation. You have to look deeper into a situation. You may not. You may be trying to make a decision without enough information. So you want to find out the facts. Don't go by hearsay. So if you just heard, you know, somebody might have said something that you took offense to, it may not be. You might be misinterpreting. It may not even be true what the person said, what you heard, or what was relayed to you. So you want to look deeper, you want to have a conversation. So if you had a falling out with someone, talk to that person directly. Don't act based on gossip or hearsay. Also, the King of Swords means that you have to figure out what's real from what's not real. You're trying to separate, you know, what is real, you know, you're trying to look at someone without and just see what's really there in a relationship. You know, is this the relationship I want to be in? Is this the person? Do I really know this person? Do I like this person? Whatever it is, you're looking at things in a more realistic way in the month of February. But you can, with the Six of Swords, communication is your key, especially with this new moon coming up in Aquarius. It's tied to Mercury, so it's conjunct Mercury. So communication is going to be really important at this new moon. New ways of communicating, new ways of dealing with how you express yourself, how you get your thoughts, how you get another person to see what you're thinking or understand you. Coming up here, you have the Five of Cups. And this could be a card of regret or disappointment. Sometimes when the Five of Cups comes up in the future, you may feel like a relationship is going through a rough period or rocky time, and you're focusing on your losses. You're focusing on everything that's wrong with the relationship rather than what's good in your life. So with this Five of Cups, you really want to focus. If you want to save the relationship, you can, because you have the Six of Swords here, which is a moving away from difficulty, moving toward harmony. If you want to save it, you can, but the way you have to do it is by focusing on the good in the person. I mean, because I'm sure the person has some good qualities, and maybe you're just focusing on a couple of bad things that you don't like, but you're not recognizing the good in that person. So you want to make sure, before you make any decisions that are set in stone that you're going to regret, you want to at least have a direct conversation with someone. Don't just cut someone off without talking to them. Because sometimes you might find yourself regretting that decision, because this is a card of regret in a relationship, wishing that you had handled things differently, wishing that things could have worked out differently. But this is coming up in the future, so you haven't made the mistake yet. You know, you haven't made, you know, it's not hopeless. It's not a hopeless situation. And you can salvage anything that you want to salvage if you just communicate. So you have to drop your guard, communicate. Don't be afraid of rejection. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. And sometimes, you know, the King of Swords could be you too. Maybe you're being too harsh in a situation. Maybe you've been too unapproachable. Maybe your delivery has been too harsh. So it could go both ways. Either you're dealing with someone who has a harsh way of dealing with people, or you yourself have been in a way that you're trying to protect your sensitivity. You may have been coming across too harsh or too unapproachable. So, but you can work it out, and you are willing to try new things. You have the Page of Pentacles here. Now, coming up on the staff, you have the Ace of Pentacles. This is a great card for financial support, new beginnings. If you're looking for a job, for those of you looking for a job, this could mean that you could have a new beginning that could pay a lot more money. In any case, if you have a goal that you want to start, the new moon in Aquarius is the perfect time to begin, because there's a lot of positive energy surrounding this new moon, and it's an eclipse. So it's going to affect the next 6 months at least, and it's kind of tied to the 6 months previous. So this full moon, this new moon eclipse is in Aquarius. The last new moon eclipse was in Leo. So what happened around August, the theme is continuing with this new moon. It's the second new beginning. It's also so it's a good time to start something that's going to bring you tangible results, because the Ace of Pentacles represent things manifested in the physical. So, and that could be money, but it could also be just beginning a project. You know, you have a dream, you want to create something, and you can do it. You can make it happen. You can bring it to life. So it doesn't just exist in your mind. It actually becomes something real in, you know, the physical realm. In your environment, you have the Six of Pentacles. So this sometimes comes up when there's an imbalance in a relationship between the give and take. It could be that one of you is doing all the work. You may feel like, you know, I'm always the one that goes out of my way. I try to make things happen in this relationship. And, you know, the other person doesn't do anything. Or you might be spending all the money. You might be paying all the bills, you know, and the other person, you feel that they need to step up to the plate. They need to, you know, contribute more in a relationship. Or it could be you. It could be that one of the issues of the relationship is who is paying for what, who's contributing to what. You know, I don't want to keep doing all the work. I want to feel that you care enough about this relationship too, that you initiate some things. So that could be an issue that's on the table, because the Six of Pentacles describes someone who's a very giving person, who's always going out of their way, always giving. And sometimes you could overgive. And you need to pull back on the giving a little bit, or at least make time for yourself. So if you've been giving too much in a relationship, you might start to be feeling resentful. Like, you know, I'm tired of always being the one to call, or I'm always the one to give, and I'm always the one who's, you know, trying to work things out, and it doesn't seem like this person cares about the relationship. So that's another reason why you want to have the conversation where you explain your feelings. And also, you want to set some boundaries. You've got the Seven of Wands here. Now, the Seven of Wands, this is a good card because it represents that you can overcome any obstacles you face in February. So if you have a relationship that's going through some problems, maybe there's competition for some of you, or maybe there are just people opposed to some of your ideas, or maybe you just have to set some boundaries. Like, you know, I've been doing all the giving. You have to start doing some things. Let's make a list. Who, you know, you do this, I do that. You know, you pay for this, I pay for that. Whatever it is, you have the upper hand in the situation, and you can set some boundaries. People are going to test your boundaries. But the way that you're going to bring more harmony to the relationship and bring the balance is to set boundaries on what you're willing to do and what you think the other person should be responsible for. And that can help your relationship. The other thing here, you have the Eight of Swords. So some of you may be feeling trapped in a situation. You may feel like, you know, this relationship isn't working, and I don't know how to get out of it. I can't get out of it. And if I can't make things better, you know, I'm kind of stuck. You're feeling stuck. The Eight of Swords, there's some kind of fear connected with this whole situation. Like maybe you're afraid to speak up, or you're afraid to make some changes, or you're afraid to ask for what you need. You're afraid it might affect the relationship in a negative way. Or maybe this person's so intimidating, this King of Swords, that you're afraid to speak to this person. You're afraid they're going to get belligerent, or they're going to be angry, or you're going to get like a cold response or a non-sympathetic response. But you must speak. You must speak your piece this month. And you're not stuck anywhere, really. If you're really that unhappy in a relationship, for those of you who are unhappy, you can just walk away. The prison, if you look at this card, this is a card of someone who feels like they're imprisoned. And they feel like, you know, they're trapped, they're stuck, they're in a prison. But there's no bars covering this person. The only thing that's stopping the person is fear. And it could be, you know, there could be financial situations too. I mean, you may feel that, well, I don't have the money to get out of this relationship. I mean, if you're relying on someone, because this card can sometimes mean financial dependence. So you might be in a relationship where you're financially dependent on someone, and that's why you can't leave. And if you leave, you don't have the money to support yourself. That's a problem. But the Ace of Pentacles here is in your... This means that you can start something that can bring in extra money, that can bring in prosperity. And this is also a time card. I think it's, let's see, September, December, January, February. So that it falls within that time frame, within the time frame of this reading. But it's in your negative thinking sector. It's in your psychological block. So there's a part of you that feels like I can't make money. I can't support myself. I'm you know, who's going to pay me? Where am I going to find prosperity? That's what you might be worried about, money or financial support or emotional support even. But you just have to stop worrying, stop thinking negatively, stop being afraid or feeling. I mean, I know that's easy to say, not so much to do, but you have to start somewhere to start focusing on positive outcomes. What can I do? Okay, maybe I can't do everything I want to do, but I can do something. I can go back and get to school. I can get some training so I can get a better paying job. You know, you can start preparing your situation so you have more independence, so you don't feel so dependent on someone else. So you can go back to school, get some training, get a better paying job, start working toward being more financially independent. So you can, if you had to make a decision to leave a relationship, you would be able to do it. It may not happen overnight, but it's a beginning. On the other hand, for some of you, you can really save a relationship. It's not, when the Five of Cups comes up in the future, it doesn't mean that the relationship is dead. You know, it's not that, if I saw the Ten of Swords, I would say give it up. Or the Five of Swords, sometimes that means you can't change the person, you just have to accept them. The Five of Cups, there's hope. There's still two cups here. So you still have something that you can build on. You just have to talk and work things out. You have to not be afraid to speak up. And try to resolve things, you know, and consider, you know, also think it's not what you say, it's also how you say it. So you want to approach the person in a very, you know, non-confrontational way. And you know, you're not trying to start an argument, you're just trying to express your feelings, you're just trying to express what your needs are. And I think then you can resolve any issues that may come up in February. Now let me look at the astrology. You have this new moon in your 8th house. So the 8th house is the house of other people's money, your partner's money sometimes. So the Ace of Pentacles could mean that your partner gets a raise or more money's coming in somehow. It could also mean you get a loan from a bank. It could mean an inheritance. But the 8th house is also a house of intimacy and confronting your demons, confronting what is it that's blocking me from achieving intimacy in a relationship. You know, is there something that you're doing that's preventing intimacy from happening? It's a good time to have a new beginning with things in the 8th house, in the way you deal with financial resources. Am I dependent too much on my partner for money? Is there anything I need to do to support myself and not rely so much on someone else? What can I do to feel more secure financially so that I can feel more empowered? So that you have a lot of good energy to start thinking and to start something new in the, you know, with this 8th house energy that's going to bring more financial prosperity to you. You also have Uranus in the 10th house, and that's favoring this new moon. Uranus in the 10th house can be unexpected things happening in your career. The 10th house is career, it's the house of, but it's also your status in the world. So it can bring promotion. It can bring a change of status, where if you decide to walk away, you might decide to leave a relationship, or it could mean a new relationship even, because you also have Jupiter in the 5th house. Jupiter in the 5th house can bring new romance in your life. So you have some options here. Now for some people, okay, the 5th house is the house of romance. So for people who are not in a committed relationship, you could have a new romance. And it could be someone you might even meet while you're working, because the 10th house is involved. And it could also lead to greater intimacy because the 8th house is involved. But if you're in a committed relationship, the 5th house can be children. So you could have some conflict in a relationship over children. You know, maybe you're fighting over the kids, or somebody's kids are being difficult and it's causing problems in the relationship. Another way that the 5th house can operate, and with Jupiter there, it's a good time to tap into your creativity. So you may need to do something for you. Maybe you've been so wrapped up in giving to the other person that you're neglecting your own soul, your own creativity. So maybe you need to do some, you know, get involved in a creative project or something that where you can have self-expression, whether it's music or art or creative writing or some hobby that really brings you joy, that brings joy to your life. You could start that now also, and that will help improve your mood. It'll help improve your relationships as well, because you'll feel more fulfilled by doing this hobby. You know, you don't have to do everything with your partner. So Venus is also right now sextiling, it will be sextiling Saturn. Venus will be in Pisces. It's moving into Pisces. And it's going to be sextiling Saturn in Capricorn. And both those signs are favorable to Cancer. So you can create, if you do decide to work things out in a current relationship, you can create something stable. For those of you meeting a new relationship, there could be an age difference between you. So one of you might be younger than the other. There could be a significant age difference where one person is more of the parent, has a parent attitude toward the other. But whatever you create under the favor of Saturn, it will require work, but it also represents commitment and longevity. So you could create something that will last a long time. So get your communication out there. You know, don't be afraid to communicate. Speak up. Let your voice be heard this month, and don't be afraid to initiate something new. Don't be afraid to work toward greater harmony. And if something's really not working and you want to leave, you can do that also. You could just prepare. You know, learn new skills. Get yourself. The focus with the new beginning is going to be on financial security, how you can make yourself feel more secure financially so that you can make decisions and choices, so that you don't have to feel stuck or trapped in a situation. So that's my reading for February, Cancer. I hope this reading was a help to you, and I wish you luck, love, and success, and the ability to overcome your fears this month. This is a very powerful new moon. So if you want to start, if you've been dreaming about starting something new, now's the time to do it. Don't procrastinate. Don't be afraid of rejection. Put yourself out there. Let your light shine. Okay, I wish you the best, and I will talk to you again. And happy Valentine's. And I'll talk to you again next month. Okay, bye now.